Hello and welcome to week 4 and chapter 4 here in developmental psych, and we get into early childhood. And there's actually some people in this class who are majoring in early childhood education. So of course we're looking at this very early time in children's lives, but such rich things happening. Anybody who's working with children, certainly those of you who have passions working with children, understand this is a very dynamic time of wonderful, wonderful development. So we start off with a discussion about gender. And the reason I put it into this chapter, even though gender and sexual identity certainly becomes a part of adolescence and young adulthood, again, it's at this point in life, right around age 3, that children learn typical, or whatever's being taught to them, gender stereotypes and roles. So it's really important to kind of have this discussion about the transitioning idea of what these terms mean, and in terms of what parents are doing with their children in order to provide them with a more diverse perspective. So I'll tell you a story that's actually very much timed to what we're doing right now. I just got back yesterday from Kalamazoo, Michigan. My band, Yellow Brick Road, was hired to headline the Kalamazoo Out Front Pride event. It was a 2-day festival. We got there on Friday, played on Saturday. And there were 8,000 people that showed up by the end of the day, and all of this going on. I'm not sure if you've ever been to a Pride event, but it was colorful, to say the least. I went to the festival during the day on Saturday, and there were many, many, many parents with very young children there. And those parents were involved in the process. They were supporting, being an ally, or maybe they themselves were LGBT, and they were part of this event and invited their children to be part of that event. So exposing their children to a diversity of the interpretation of the word gender. And so these kinds of, those parents actively engaged in allowing their children to process a wider diversity of that. So just no opinion on that. I'm just recognizing that there was lots of people there that were bringing their young children and putting these values that they hold very strongly into their children. Because right around 3, 4, 5, we're looking at the individual is beginning to make sense between that idea of who I am, what people recognize me as, and the feelings and propensities that I have. That's beginning to surface. There's enough cognitive things going on that these connections can sometimes be made. So I included at the end of the chapter some resources related to gender identity and sexuality and all that diversity. So I wanted to actually kind of just open the doors to have a discussion about these things. We're not going to engage the political debate. Certainly that is heavy on many people's minds around the country, as there's various strongly supported ideas that seem to be contrary to diversity, and to say the least. While that is going on, we can also have a discussion about the psychology of this. What does this mean to the developing child? What does it mean to parents and their role in explaining these things and explaining the world to them? And having some discussions about the resources that we are providing for individuals. Most of the ones that I posted are for older children, but certainly there are some for kids as very young. So that's going to be our discussion. The quiz is going to focus on the concept of theory of mind. Now, this is a quiz that has been in my classes for decades now. I'm really, for the reasons that we just talked about, the age 3 some unique things start to happen. And one of those things, one of those milestones in development, is the establishment of theory of mind. If you understand theory of mind and what capacities that child has when we develop theory of mind, what can we now do? What can we now understand about the world around us? Then answering this quiz is extremely easy. I present to you the story of Sally and Fido. Sally and Fido are playing around in the living room. Sally jumps up on the couch, or I can't remember exactly the wording, but jumps on the couch, breaks the lamp. Mom comes in, asks what happened, and Sally takes a little bit of time and says, Fido broke the lamp. You and I, being privy to the story, know that that's not true. Based on that information alone, I can tell you that Sally has theory of mind. There's enough evidence in that entire situation for me to confidently say that Sally has theory of mind. Critical thinking question, tell me why I'm so sure about that. It's not a long drawn out answer. It's a very short answer, one sentence. You can tell me why I know that she has theory of mind. So I'm leaving it at that. That's as much information as I'm going to give you with that. And then, so we're looking at gender, then we're looking at cognitive development, then of course for the assignment, we're going to look at psychosocial development, bringing in Erikson's theory once again, looking at the first 3 stages. Now this assignment actually has to do with your subject for the biography. So if you haven't, I've made that biography proposal due early in the class so that by the time we got to chapter 4, when I'm asking you to talk to this person in content related to the class, that you'll have identified some. So if you haven't identified the person that you're going to do your biography on, you need to do that in order to finish this assignment. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be talking to that individual, maybe in the context of beginning your interview, about those first 3 stages. Now, it's not going to be unlikely that they won't be, that will, wait, let me get my dual negatives here. People may not remember things from way back then. They may have images, they maybe have constructed memories that they saw pictures and therefore they can construct those memories and stuff. It doesn't really matter. They can tell stories about those early, the first 3 stages. And then what I want you to do is understanding this individual, both their stories and experiences and some history and, whatever, and then looking at their lives today. Can you evaluate how well they made it through those first 3 stages? Now, the fact that they're still here and willing to be your subject probably puts them on the positive end, or at least they had supports to get through any sort of negative experiences. So just because of the nature of this assignment, a person who had extremely negative and unresolved first 3 stages would probably not agree to be your subject. So there's a little bit of, salting the oats in this. So the individual tells as much as they can from those early, what they know about what happened in their lives during that time. You look at their lives today and how they've led their lives in relation to trust, autonomy, and initiative, and how did that play out in their lives? So you're doing a descriptive part and then an analysis part to kind of get your head wrapped around those first 3 stages. So this is an assignment. So, title page is the first page, and then you're writing things out. You're writing it so it looks professional. It's not a research paper, so it's not APA per se, but it's, you're writing things in a format that is professional. So watch your spacing, watch your fonts, put bold titles on each section. That helps your reader understand where you're going. Put work not only into the substance of your paper, but also the form, the stylistic aspects that make reading a paper really pleasant for me as a grader. So you have the discussion on gender and resources. We have the critical thinking question about Sally and Fido and why I'm so sure she has theory of mind. And then you're going to be conducting some initial interviews with your subject matter to talk about life experiences from the first 3 stages of Erikson's theory, pretty much leading up to age 4 or 5, just about to go into school. Then you're going to be evaluating that in terms of determining how well they made it through those first 3 stages. So that's our work for this week. When I was in Michigan, it was beautiful and sunny and 90 degrees. I came home, it was 40 degrees and raining. Summers in Maine are great, but they're not great every day. So try to have a great week despite the weather. Ducks love it, so good for them. And be well, take care, and I will see you next time.